Let's build a text-based chat program. Here's what it will look like. Let's write the code. We'll build our code using the concepts we covered in the tutorials on text generation and maintaining conversation state. Our application starts by invoking the function startConversation. It will house our main conversation loop. Let's define it. Let's add the main loop. Before we execute the loop, let's set up our readline interface so we can easily read and write user inputs. We should also print a title for our application. Okay, let's work on our conversation loop. In our loop, we first need to prompt the user for a question. We need to process the message. If the user message is the word quit, we need to say goodbye and break out of the while loop. Which brings us here. We first close readline and then fall through to the end of the function, thus ending our program. But if the user message is anything other than quit, we need to process it. Let's use a function to do that. It should take the user's message, send it as a prompt to the model, and return the model's response. Let's name this function sendMessage. It returns the model's response, which we print here. We haven't defined the sendMessage function yet. We will do that next. But before we go forward, there is one more thing we need to worry about. The sendMessage function is in our conversation loop and will be called repeatedly. So we should keep the conversation state between each call by setting the previous response ID. Let's define a variable to keep track of this. We initialize it to null and send it along with the user message. It's time to create the sendMessage function, which will handle calling the model with the user's question. It takes the user's message and the response ID of the previous call. Let's define our developer or system message. Here we define our input array. Developer messages are not carried over to the next API call via the previous response ID, so we need to include them with every call. The user's message is set here. We are now ready to call our model. The model returns its response. We get the output text from the response and save it here. But we also need to save and return the response ID. We do that here. We need to return both of these to the calling program. In JavaScript, this can be done by setting them inside an object and then returning the object. We are done here. Let's update the calling program to accept this object. We get back and save the returned items here. We first print the returned text. And then save the response ID. We're done. In our main loop, we get the user's question. Check if the user typed quit. Otherwise, we call send message, passing the user's question and the previous response ID as parameters. We get back the model's text output and the response ID. Finally, we print the model's text output and save the ID. The loop then continues with the next question. We can give the user a much better experience if we stream the output. You can find a streaming version of this program in the code listings for this tutorial.